What's up, people? It is Sunday, early afternoon. We are out. Go for a walk and catch our first smoke of the day. So, been having like a lot of thoughts today, but the things coming to me are in an area where I don't really have much knowledge, which always makes it difficult. So, of course, then I go and try and seek that knowledge to make more sense of it. But this one's pretty complicated, and I think it's going to take me a little while. Boy, that fucking plane or whatever it is loud up there. So, oh man. So a lot of the stuff coming to me is related to electricity. So I've been watching YouTube videos for the last hour or so about how electricity works, and like how it flows, how it really works, like how the technology we use works with it, how we use it. And just learning more about circuits and electrons and atoms and positive and negative terminals, right? And grounding, and how energy has to flow in a circuit the way it always completes a full circle. That is why you ground it, right? That's why you send it to the ground, so it could find its way back to complete that circuit. Right? And I'm thinking a lot about how all these words relate a lot to life, to this whole reality. In that circle, being eaten, being recycled, going through it over and over, kind of thing. You know, that's a circuit, a circle. The battery, right? Beaten, to be eaten. And I really, like I said, I really need to learn more about electricity, because the more I learn, the more I can see it. The more, I'm telling you today, the first thing that comes to me as the picture starts to come together, man, it's the famous painting, right? Of, what is it supposed to be? Man, Adam, reaching out to God, and the finger, but they're not touching, right? This reminds me of electricity. Kind of reminded me of something maybe like a transformer, where the coils are kind of placed close together next to each other, but they're not actually like physically touching. Or just something with the disconnecting from it. to stop being shocked, right? And what does it mean? What do we call when you're in shock? Like if you're in shock, like if something shocks you, it upsets you, right? Like you're shocked here. In a way, you could also say maybe you're confused, shocked, confused, fused, tricked into being bound, or a fuse, right? Think of how a fuse works in an electrical circuit, right? It's two contact points that touch, that keep the circuit intact, but it's got a certain resistance on it, right? So if you pass too much voltage through it, or you get too much, it'll get too hot in the heat, and it'll break and sever that. That's for some reason that's what I'm picturing. And that painting with the hands disconnected is like a broken fuse. It's like when the fuse is blown and that circuit is disconnected. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it with the words, right? Like, you think about electricity, things that are, when you're dealing with electrical components, they're generally insulated, right? Insulate. To keep them contained, right? I've been thinking a lot about water. You know that pure water doesn't conduct electricity, right? Like pure water itself doesn't. The only reason water conducts electricity so well is because it's the universal solvent. So there's many impurities in water, things that it's dissolved. There's all kinds of ions from other substances in there. It's not pure. The electricity is actually conducted through those impurities. Pure water doesn't complete a circuit, doesn't conduct the electricity. I think in a sense you might, I'm not sure because I'm learning about electricity, but I think what that maybe means is pure water may be neutral, right? Where it's not a positive or a negative. Because that's what electricity wants to do, right? Opposites attract. Positive energy is attracted to the negative, and the negative is attracted to the positive. And that's the loop, the circle that you have to complete. Like that's, from my understanding, that's why electrical devices need to be grounded, right? And what else? When you're grounded, man, you're stuck. You're put in like prison. You're being punished. You're grounded, right? But yeah, something about electricity always wants to flow back. I think that has something to do with how it can never be created or destroyed, right? Like it just changes form. I believe that's positive to negative, negative to positive, positive to negative, right? Depends which way you're going. Mind you, I've learned about this stuff an hour ago. My electrical knowledge is a couple YouTube videos for the most part, other than very basic stuff that is kind of common sense that most of us know. But there's a direct current, right? Where it only flows in one direction. There's alternating currents where it can flow either way, back and forth, right? Like it's like, think of a circle, like a loop with like a, got like a hose connected in a circle, both ends tied together, water flowing through it. Direct current, water flowing one way, right? Alternating current means the water flows one way, and then it kind of like you spin it around, it flows the other way. It's going back and forth, switching directions, kind of like breath or something, going in and out, or left and right, clockwise and counterclockwise, sort of pendulum-like. And what do we call that? The amount of energy, or call flowing through that, the current, you know what I mean? It's like we measure it, it's in joules, right? Joule. Think about Jews, right? Jewels, crystals, Christ, the Christ, A-L, Christ, A-L, C-R-Y-S-T-A-L, Al means the. What else are joules? The measurement of power, right? Another word we use for that, like literally, is horsepower. It's like the same thing, measure an energy output, right? Another word for horse, mare. Mare is the sea, right? Electricity, electric sea, electricity, waves, currents. I think from what I've noticed is a lot of people teaching about electricity like to actually use the analogy of it to water. Like they like you to, to try to think of it like water as an analogy, like the way it flows to the path of least resistance, right? Like if you had one pipe that broke off into two other pipes, and one of them was smaller than the other, like one pipe's 10 inches around and the other one's 6 inches around or something. More of it is going to flow through the larger pipe. It's just going to take the path of least resistance, or just like the way a river flows across the land and bends and twists, because it takes the path of least resistance. But resistance is assistance in a way, because the weird thing about energy, so maybe I just haven't grasped this yet, is it actually requires resistance though to travel. It's still going to take the path of the least resistance, but it has to have some form of resistance to travel. It's like if you have no resistance at all, it can't conduct, right? If there's no resistance, like pure water. But you don't want to be the path of least resistance. Well, that you don't, anyway, personally, if you don't want to get electrocuted, anyway. And it'll flow through you. And that's why we ground things, to give it a path of least resistance to the ground, where the human body isn't really the greatest conductor of electricity. I mean, we do conduct it, but we're not the path of least resistance. There's a lot of things we can offer it that are easier to flow through, and that's the path it'll take, right? So it sounds like almost like being anything but completely neutral gives it a way to flow, right? Like you're giving it away. It doesn't matter if you're slightly negative or slightly positive. Either way, you're conducting, right? And what's the conductor do? Right? It conducts a symphony, right? Sim, phony. Sim is a simulation. Phony is fake, an illusion, right? A symphony. That's what a conductor does. Drives a train, right? A locomotive, loco, Luna, crazy, right? Motive, insane. Train of thought, or thoughts. We also call thoughts just slang, right? It's not an accident, it's slang for a whore, right? Whores turning tricks, circles, circuits, illusions, tricks, whirling, world, spin. Mares, right? Thoughts, whores, mares, nightmare, mare. And think about it, like, what is night? It's evening. If you think positive and negative, which one are you going to relate night to? I mean, I'm going to say negative, right? Light, positive, night, negative. The polar opposites of each other. Kind of like battery, right? What's the male end of the battery, or a plug, an outlet? What's the female end, right? Look at people. Which one's positive, negative energy, right? Different poles. Opposites attract, right? Males and females attracted to each other. It's natural. Opposites attract in energy. One always wants to go to the other. And it wants to take the path of least resistance. But it does need some form of resistance to travel along. All right, so what do you think? Like Adam, Eve, atoms, Adam, Eve, electrons, evening. Apple, a pole, polarity, a pole. To be pulled, to be drug along, right? Positives chasing negative, negatives chasing positive. Dragon, to be drag on. Breath, breathing fire. Heat, right? Light. Forget that energy being carried creates heat. The motion, heat, which heat is light. Heat creates light. You kind of see how that apple relates to, I believe, also it's supposed to be considered what, knowledge? I would call that knowledge is asking questions, right? What? Watts? What? Water? What? Watts? Joules? Volts? Voltage? Voltage? Age? It's just a passing of time, right? Passage? Path? So what's with that painting? I'm picturing this breaking of the circuit, untouching. Like, think if someone's like getting shocked or electrocuted. If you touch them, you're gonna get shocked too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to touch them unless you can properly ground yourself first, somehow protect yourself. And what's with water not conducting it? Pure water. How does that relate to like maybe like holy water, blessed water, right? What's blessed mean? Like, it means something like to mark, to consecrate. It's where we get bliss and blood. Blood's kind of like water, right? It's got a lot of ions in it, especially like iron. Which is a very good conductor of electricity, right? Turn around. What else we got going on here? Water. Watts. What? Questions, right? Knowledge. Apple. A pole, right? Poles. Terminals. Stud. Stallion. Mare. Horse. Horsepower. Joules. Watts. Volts. Yeah, weird now too, like mare can mean whore and shocked, shocking, whore, horrible. Charges, right? Bring charges. Because that's where court comes from. It's the same words, right? It means it's a circle, right? Think like a courtyard, usually like a circle. Or a court, like an arena, a ring. If you court someone, you can complete the circuit, right? You're gonna mate, bond, complete a circuit. Court comes from hordus, hurtus, hurts. Comes from words like azara, zar means to persecute, to punish. Persecute, electrocute. yeah, sorry. My brain starts thinking, starts going on different trains of thought than where I'm speaking. But so yeah, it basically means, and the court ends up being a ring or a garden or time, right? You know, horde us into things like horticulture and courtesy and court, right? And what do you have at court? A hearing ring, a hear ring, right? The herd, hearing, we heard it, hoard it, horticulture, garden, the guard, the enclose, right? The garden is an enclosed yard, a courtyard, it's enclosed, be bound, and you put a perimeter around it, a ring. Just relax here a second. In this area. Right, in those words, Hortus goes into like Zorus and Zronos, Chronos, time, like father, time. And think about being eaten. Right, one of the myths about Kronos, eats his children, offspring. Something about offspring, thinking of coils. Coils in a transformer. They're like when you somehow take one power source and like dump some of it off to like another different circuit, I believe, like a different enclosed loop or circuit. You use coils. Something about the number of coils determines how much flow you get or something between them. So something about why electric motors are wound and everything. Like they always make these coils, a copper wire that they wind around. Right? Wind. World, wound, wind. Wind, right? Wind and wind. Wind is like current in the air, kind of just like in the water. Movement, electricity. It's bound. If you think about it, electricity is bound. It moves in a circle. It can never be created or destroyed. It's like infinitely bound in a loop. Some kind of like an enclosed loop. Static, right? Static to remain still. My mind is so all over with this stuff. I'm sorry. It's not, I don't know enough about electricity, but I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep learning about it. I have this feeling there's just so much here. If you can kind of get where I'm starting to lead to, like there's so much here. I mean, the word born in French literally means boundary, right? A born is a boundary stone, boundary stone, a marker, right? Remember? Bliss, state of bliss, bless of blood, bliss, bless, blood, same word, to be marked, boundary stone, bound, bled, blued, B-L-O-O-D, blued, blue, wound, world. Think about how like blood's blue. They say, remember that thing about like somehow they say blood is blue until it reaches the air. So I don't know if I think it's been debunked, but you know what I'm talking about though, right? Veins look blue. Blued, blow, wound, wind, world, marked. It's not a mark, right? It's a blemish. A stain, it's something that's not, it's impure, right? Like water, like you said, if water is pure, it doesn't conduct electricity. It doesn't provide a path for the circuit to flow through. Purified water. Yet water breaks down everything. It's neutral, but it can break down everything. Think about that concept. Something about neutrality, about like being the observer. I'm thinking about not having an opinion one way or the other, not a slant, an angle, right? An angle or a point of view, certain point of view, like just kind of observing what is being neutral, always just remaining neutral. New trial. Just wow, that's what it is. That's what it is. There's a much bigger picture that keeps going through my head, man. Any impurities in the water at all, it just continues the circuit, right? You allow the path for the electricity to flow through the charges. If somebody brings charges, right? There's another word for bringing charges. Is Latin is lice, L-I-S, lis, like lice pendens. To sue someone, it's like to bring suit. Lice means to bring charges. Listen, remember? List 10, lice 10. 10 is the pinnacle, the peak, the point, like perfection. I think that would be perfectly balanced. When I think something perfect, it's balance and tune, atone. It is neutral, right? It's in balance, it's completely neutral, it doesn't tilt. Tilt is to get angry and mad, confused, confusion, fusion, hot. What are angles? Angles are numbers. It also gives us angels, which what? Are bound, a band on. They have a band over their head, a band on. Left behind, flunk, fail, N-G-E-L, angel. In jail, to be bound, stuck. Jail also means love. The connection between all things is love. To remain stuck together, to be bound together. In love, fallen in love, felon in jail. It's an angle. Angel gives us angle. Angel comes from words like engalum, engala, what's an engalum, engul, N-G-U-L. You'll start to search leads and words. It's actually it's angle, angler, because it means the same thing, to be stuck, to remain stuck, to be hooked. An angler is a fisherman, and they catch fish with a hook, right? And fish is just school. And school is a direct dialect variant just of the word skull. School and skull are the same words, or skull, right? A fish, an angler, an angle, a band on, a ring to be bound over their head, right? Bait, to be led on, apple, a pole, drag on, a pole, a tower, tower, toad, dragon. Drug, a drug, drag, drug, medicine. What else are angles? Angles are numbers. If you look up what numbers are, like what numbers originate from, one angle, one straight line is a 1, right? 2 angles is a 2, 2 lines, boom, boom. 3 lines, three angles is a 3, 4 angles is a 4, 5 angles, etc. A 0 has no angles. It's a circle, though. I'm not real sure 100% what to think yet about the 0, although I do have a lot of thought about it. Like, one thing is a 0, it means it's a cipher, right? A cipher is encrypted or encoded message. It's like confusing words. It's a secret. It requires a key to unlock a cipher. A key is a pitch, a certain pitch, angle, a tone. And I just related back a little bit. Atonement relates to me, to being perfectly neutral or balanced, neutral, in tune, perfectly in tune. Not off kilt one way or the other. Think like a scale, the scales, the dragon, the snake being wound around the pole, the medicine, the drug. So angles, numbers, right? And they say man, what's the number of the beast? It's the number of man. Right? And if man is bound, abandoned, in jail, wound, world, wound, wound, marked, a wheel, we, ill, if we're lit up, on fire, illuminated, right? To bring light, to make known, to show, to illustrate, to illuminate, to shed light on. So where we get like Lucifer, light bringer. Illustrated, illuminated, we ill. It's the number of man. 6, sick, ill, we ill, illuminated, 6, 6, 6. Right? There's something to that. And the thing is, you'll see is this train of thought. Even the word prison, too. Sun, prison. Or jail, or back to those jewels, Jesus. J-E, look up what J-E and G-E means. G is what gives us geo, the ground. Grounded. Right? Energy needs a ground. We ain't flying, man. Think about angels lost their wings. They're not flying. We're grounded. Earth, ground, geo. When you think heaven, you think it's up in the air, right? For some reason, we think it's up, like out. Why do we think that? What's that coming from? Like, what is that? Is there any truth to that? Why does it make sense with all these words and things, right? Heaven even contains the word even. Remember I was talking about balance. Even, atoned, even. Neutral. For some reason I think about walking on water. It's only when it's frozen. Fro, your head again, the skull, school, pupil, eye, ions, student. The eye, the fish, school, even. Right? But yeah, frozen. Zen too, right? Frozen. We consider Zen a state of what, like achieving like heaven. And Zen's kind of related to like a state, like a heaven, like a state of mind. Frozen. You can walk on it, right? It's the only way I know how to walk on water is when it's frozen. Freeze. Freeze. If you think you're bound or stuck in jail, if you got out, you're free. Freeze it. Freeze it. Frozen. Stopping that circuit, right? Pure water, it would stop. Doesn't complete the circuit. I don't know why. I feel like this might relate to like abstinence, possibly, and like not having kids. And the just the bigger picture that I'm seeing, I think if you follow this enough, you'll see that in some way that seems to relate to that. It just because it's saying to like stop the circuit, like to be free, like to stop, freeze. Maybe you don't want to stop. Maybe you want to keep going around. Around the world. Turning tricks. Going all the way around the world. Join the Mile High Club. It seems like it could relate. It does. It does. I think even one of them sports we play on ice relate. I'm thinking like, what's the one where they curling, hockey, right? Hokey, a stick, spirit, shoot the puck to the goal, gold, scored, marked, scored, niched, nicked, blemished, bliss, blessed, blood, bled, gold, the end, right? Ending, atone, at one. You won, gold, scored, one, at one. I guess at one there'd be no angle, right? Is that a little one or is that a zero? Zero seems like a ring, like the circuit, the circle. It also means nothing, no thing. I've always thought nothing is perfect. Like nothing is, nothing is perfect. Which is true every way I think about it. I've always thought that seems like it just told, nothing is, and no thing is perfect, like nothing. You had absolutely nothing, that's perfect. But that would be completely neutral, right? Nothing would be perfect, unblemished, completely untouched, virgin, like nothing, no opinion, no thought one way or the other, no current, no charges. Seems weird though, right? Like, just for some reason it kind of reminds me of hell. Like going in circles and being bound for eternity. And on fire, right? Because that's what it is. When energy is flowing, it's heat. It creates heat when it moves, when it flows. Motion, heat. Eat. Even that word eat is in there. Heat, eat. Being eaten, beaten, battery. Sell, soul. Sold, sell, sale. Soul, a loan, right? A loan, a debt, sin. Rivers, banks, currents. Drowning in debt. Watts, water. Water is neutral. Something about the water, it's neutral. But it's a solvent. It picks up all the impurities. So if you took pure water and say dipped something in it and let water dissolve some of it, and then pulled it out and then tested that water, or see what's in the water, I think you could detect what that was. You'd break it down, right? Like you'd break down whatever you put in there. Water would now have traces of it. You knew it wasn't there before, so it came from like you could test something. You could expose it, right? You could diagnose it. X-ray it, cross, right? An X. Shed light on it, to present it, present. Present is now. It's a gift. So a box. That box is also a kissed. Kissed is the same word. It's basically a cyst. Kissed, cyst. CYST. That's a chest. Coffin. Cough. Chest. Coughing. Coffin. Breath. Spirit. Lungs. I just think there's so much here. I'm lacking like engineering type knowledge of electricity. I need to dive into it more. And I feel like there's just a lot hidden there. Like it's a good thing to learn about. So that's my plan. Anyway, see how much free time I can find myself to do it. Like, I got a lot of shit going on. I don't know why, and I don't really. It's just me. Like, I find it takes a lot of my day, being a single guy like myself, just to take care of myself. Get grocery shopping done and things, all the other shopping done, and keeping my cat fed multiple times a day, and his litter box cleaned, and vacuuming, and doing laundry, and dusting, and just like all the chores and things. And like, it seems like I hardly ever have a free moment to just nothing. Well, if I do, then a lot of things go on hold. Like the house gets dirty and stuff. Like, if I just take my time between that and work, right? Just don't have a lot of time. So I'd like to find time. I'd like to quit working. That's where I would find tons of time and be able to get all the things I need done. And then instead of the time I devote working for someone else, I would love to devote to, right, this week, the next couple of years, be like learning about electricity instead of doing my job. I don't know. We'll get there. I think we'll get there, or that, or we'll die. Either way, it's cool, you know. One way or the other, we're eventually gonna get there, or we'll be dead like before it happens. And either way, one way to look at it, right? But yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to add more on this topic. I'm gonna cut out a little early. I think I actually do have even some more comment. Like I think I got more, but I gotta take a piss pretty bad. And I live right over here. I'm gonna go home. Plus my cat wanted fed really bad before I left. I didn't want to feed him because it hasn't been that long since he ate last. I'm trying to slow him down. He's been eating a lot. He's been putting on some weight. He cries and cries and cries and throws a fit like a little baby until I put some food in his bowl. But he's like way overeating by letting him do what he wants. So we're trying to find a solution there, some kind of compromise with him. So wish me luck. Peace out, people.